Quiet on set, please. And action.
Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. In review today is Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World on 4K Blu-ray. Let's take a look at the tech specs. It was shot on 35mm film in Super 35 format using Eastman EXR 200T 5293 film stock for exterior shots and Kodak Vision 500T 5279 for nighttime or interior scenes. Using Panavision Panaflex Platinum, Gold 2 and lightweight cameras, alongside Arriflex 35-3 and Arriflex 435 cameras using Panavision Primo and Cook lenses. This release is sourced from a new 4K scan of original film elements. The aspect ratio is 240:1, it's got a brand new Dolby Atmos soundtrack, the disc supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision with a full enhancement layer for the Dolby Vision grade. The HDR10 grading has a maximum content light level of 986 nits and a maximum frame average light level of 821 nits. It's a 66GB disc. The average bitrate is 44.85 megabits per second for the HDR10 base layer, with a further average 3.68 megabits per second for the Dolby Vision full enhancement layer. The runtime is 138 minutes and it's rated 12. Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World sails on to 4K Blu-ray at long last and with much anticipation by its fans. 17 years on from its rather decent Blu-ray debut in 2008, and it's time to beat to quarters once again as this new release makes a splash, setting sail with a range of technical improvements to the image quality on board. Having been shot on 35mm film, the image often carries a natural and organic grain structure, which at its best looks nice and filmic. But a key part of the film's picture quality though is the implementation of the VFX shots, of which there is around 700 throughout. From what I gather, these shots were finished in a 2K digital intermediate process and then scanned to film, before being combined with the original camera negative to create the finished film, with both these elements having undergone a new 4K scan for this release. This results in an ebb and flow to the transfer's quality, with the film looking its best during scenes using the original camera negative, carrying a healthy layer of grain, and notably softening up and looking a bit rougher during the VFX shots, with the grain appearing more noisier and uneven, and seemingly being subject to varying degrees of processing and filtering. The original camera negative portions are mainly the scenes taking place below deck, when windows aren't in shot, or a certain amount above deck when weather effects haven't been added or backgrounds haven't been replaced. These are obviously where the detail levels are at their strongest, and the improvements over the Blu-ray are most notable, such as in close-ups which reveal a great amount of clarity and benefit nicely from the uptick in resolution, emphasising the skin textures and facial hair on the lead cast, like the stubble on Russell Crowe's face or the sideburns on Paul Bettany. Drawing more attention to the dirt, sweat or scars on the battle-hardened faces, whilst also further highlighting the lines and wrinkles on the older crew members. Costumes and clothing pieces display an increased level of refinement, accentuating their well-worn qualities and giving good tangibility to the textures on jackets and hats. And environments and surroundings on board the ship, when free of any VFX additions, likewise have adequate depth and detailing, with the wood grain and craftsmanship of the frigate and all its period furnishings being nicely highlighted. The CG and VFX has mainly been applied to fully realise some of the film's settings and sequences, and the increase in resolution does highlight this more than ever, making the switch to these shots and the VFX work itself, such as with the blue screen and rotoscoped elements, more obvious, like to the windows on the ship. Plenty of background replacement and extension throughout, such as on the Galapagos Islands, or with the use of scale models. Although these digital elements don't blend as seamlessly compared to today's standards, mainly due to the technical limitations of the time and the way they have been finished, considering it was 2003, it's still quite respectable. The grain structure in these shots though has clearly undergone some digital tinkering, which varies in aggression throughout, ranging from some light noise reduction to occasionally some shots having the grain wiped clean. This has most likely been done in an effort to help the VFX shots blend in better with the original camera negative portions, and perhaps also help out with the encode. Thankfully though, the most aggressive tinkering is rather limited and overall it doesn't get too in the way of an otherwise nice upgrade. Amidst all this, the image is supported by an adequate encode here on a 66GB disc, that although is subject to some challenging material with sequences featuring rain, smoke and mist amongst other obstacles, and could have perhaps been better supported on a BD100, it doesn't seem to falter with any serious issues. The film's colour palette predominantly features dull, drab and muted tones, with frequent greys, browns and beiges, an artistic choice by the director and cinematographer to achieve a period look, whilst also mixing in some cooler blues in the night sequences, and some warmer hues in interior scenes, and the odd brief exterior scene. With the palette choices leaning on the muted side, the HDR grading, whether viewed in HDR10 or Dolby Vision, and the use of the wider colour gamut, still manages to bring some appreciative tweaks and adjustments whilst bolstering the palette's tonal shifts, giving more warmth and better contrast to the scenes below deck, making skin tones appear a few shades healthier, shifting them away from the yellow tinge that sometimes crept in on the Blu-ray, whilst also bringing an increased level of depth and separation to scenes shrouded in smoke and mist. The actual use of the wider colour gamut and the P3 colour space is rather limited though, and taking a look at the HDR analysis tool in real time, we can see that the warmer hues below deck, such as in the kitchen or the captain's cabin, makes a small use of P3. And a very brief shot of the ship's anchor underwater makes the most significant use of the P3 gamut with the bluey green tones. As for the brightness levels, similar to the palette, this is also kept on the reserve side, not often eclipsing 400 nits. And taking a look at the heat maps also in real time, we can see that the candles on the dining table average around 350 to 400 nits. A brief shot of the sun and its reflections on the water is among the film's brightest highlights, peaking over 600 nits. And cannon and muzzle flashes, particularly in the climatic battle, have some extra intensity to them, getting up as high as 500 nits. Highlights are also much better handled, with the HDR grading clearing up the clipping that occurred on the Blu-ray, such as on clothing pieces and light sources, and revealing more detail within. Black levels are adequate, and perhaps make the most notable use of the HDR10 and Dolby Vision gradings, bringing out a bit more information in some of the darker areas. As for the audio, this new 4K Blu-ray release comes equipped with a brand new Dolby Atmos mix, which fans will undoubtedly have quite high expectations for, after previous releases have set such high standards. And those with Neural X capable systems have also had quite good results at mixing. But now we have it presented here with a true object-based mix. How does it compare to those previous releases? From the get-go, with Disney behind the release, you're probably going to want to turn up your volume a few notches above reference level to get the best out of the mix. Once you've done so, you'll find a decent mix here, at least as far as the surround and height channels are concerned, with plenty of grey activity and a good sense of immersion. The surrounds are frequently engaged with some nice ambient effects, capturing the creaks and groans of the ship, background chatter from the crew, and water-related sounds with splashes and ferocious waves hitting the hull. The battle sequences are also a big standout, with clashing swords, gunshots, and flying shrapnel and debris, all taking advantage of the lower channels, really making you feel as if you're on board the ship with the crew. The height channels further add to the immersion, with some good effects in the top layer where appropriate, like more ambient creaks and groans, the sails and flags flapping in the wind, and storm-related sounds like strong winds, heavy rain, and rumbles of thunder. The LFE output is what may be underwhelming for some people, particularly those directly comparing it with the old DVD release, as it unfortunately doesn't hit the depths of that old DTS 5.1. But those who are new to the film, or perhaps haven't watched it for quite some time, will probably find it sufficient enough, as it's by no means terrible, and still carries a certain amount of weight and heft to elements like cannon fire, gunshots, and crashing waves. The musical score, composed by Ivor Davies, Christopher Gordon, and Richard Tognetti, sounds great and comes through with good clarity and presence, incorporating original pieces alongside traditional folk music and classical compositions. Dialogue is well prioritised, even throughout the storm and battle conditions, or in the quieter hush moments. Once the track has been turned up a few notches, viewers shouldn't have any issues comprehending each line. To summarise, I'll give the picture an 8. This brand new 4K release offers a solid upgrade over the 2008 Blu-ray, displaying a clear improvement to detail and clarity levels and appreciative adjustments to the colour palette and dynamic range. It isn't flawless, mainly due to the VFX shots and the way they have been implemented, resulting in some obvious limitations due to the technical constraints of the era and how they've been finished. But overall, this is most likely the best this film is going to look, and it's great to see it finally come to the 4K format. And I'll give the audio a 7.5. This title has always had a good reputation for its soundtrack, particularly back in the DVD days, known for its clever use of the surround and deep thunderous bass. Many years later, now mixed in the object-based Dolby Atmos, it's still a winner, even if it has been tamed, boasting a small advantage with its use of the height and surround channels to create a slightly more convincing atmosphere. And although its reduced bass may disappoint die-hard fans and audiophiles, newcomers or fans who have never owned it on physical media shouldn't see it as a deal breaker. So these are my thoughts on Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World on 4K Blu-ray. If you would like to purchase this release, you can use my Amazon affiliate link in the description below, which can earn me a small commission and helps to support the channel. Thanks for watching guys, enjoy your movies. Bye!